Some of you may be wondering, Matt, you wear this lifeguard t-shirt sometimes. Are you a lifeguard? And the answer is no. I trained to be a lifeguard, I was outdoor instructing, but good old COVID put an end to all that. So I did the training, but I never actually lifeguarded. In fact, you could say I've been there and got the t-shirt. But you know what I am? Is a book nerd! And so today I have a smorgasbord of delicious delicacies to share with you. 3 more of my top books of 2022, so stick around! Hi guys, welcome back to Hobbit Hole Books. My name is Matt, also known as Miggins on Twitter, and today I'm continuing my top 10 SFF books of 2022. Now, in case you didn't see my last video, I will link it up in the corner, and also please remember to like, subscribe, comment down below. It really helps to grow the channel. I really appreciate you all. It's been a fantastic year. Now, without further ado, let's have a good old dive into this Olympic swimming pool where we have today 3 more golden rings of SFF of 2022. Now, number 7, I'm going to throw you a curveball here because actually, I've been lying to you. I forgot this wasn't SFF. I've put a historical fiction on my top 10 SFF books of 2022. Now, historical fiction, fantasy, they're such very close genres and often overlapping fans, and so, you know, I could not miss the opportunity to slip this one in there because it was just a fantastic read that I think everybody should know about, just like the rest of these 10. Woo! That was a mouthful. So, what is number 7? You're probably gagging, desperately waiting with bated breath. And no, it is not a Bernard Cornwell novel because I have not actually read any of those yet. I did just get the audiobook of The Winter King, courtesy of my audiobook recommendations. I'll put the video up there in case you didn't watch that. That was a fun video. This one is actually Essex Dogs by Dan Jones. Now, in case you don't know, Dan Jones is a popular historian over in the UK. He's went and studied at Oxford. He also did a lot of TV presenting. He's kind of like the maverick of fantasy, the young, cool guy with the leather biker jacket. Except he's actually not that young anymore. But that's his vibe. And I love Dan Jones. I love his popular history stuff on the TV. In fact, I even got one of his non-fiction history books based off the strength of Essex Dogs. But this is Dan's first foray into fiction. Wow, tongue twisters, huh? So this is Dan's first foray into fiction. And I gotta admit, at the start, when I saw this on NetGalley, I was like, ooh, this looks interesting. And I sort of ignored the 6 NetGalley books to the side-eyeing me, and said, yes please, I'll have some of that. But I was a little hesitant because I thought, what if this is just another celebrity author trying to dip their hand into the writing world and they can't actually write, and so they get some ghostwriter to do it. They enlist their 5th cousin's 11th toe to write it for them, and then they get all the praise and their cousin's toe misses out. And, you know, I don't really feel great about that. So I was a little bit wary going in. I thought this was a fantastic sounding book, but I wasn't sure what to expect. And dear viewers, I should never have doubted Dan Jones because just as his history documentaries are on point, they're popular, they're full of facts, but they're also easily digestible, they're fun, they're interesting, the nitty gritty of history, it's all in here just as in Dan's history documentaries. He is a fantastic writer. I was actually really surprised at the quality of the prose in here, and it makes sense because I've never actually read any of Dan's history books, but he is more than just the guy of the TV. He is first and foremost a historian. He studied at Oxford, and Dan's been defying expectations all his life, you know. I believe that he didn't do greatly in his A-levels. He still ended up at Oxford, smashed his Oxford, and then he ended up on the TV, smashed that, and now he's smashing the world of fiction, of historical fiction. He is a contender to the crown of Bernard Cornwell, and I do not say that lightly. I think it's an absolute fantastic read. Now, what's it about? Because I've been rambling for too long. It is about the 100 Years' War, and we follow this band of not so merry men, a band of lovable rogues called the Essex Dogs. Now, they are literally a band of rogues, pretty much. They are people just pulled together off the streets and forced to become a family, and a family they are. You will grow to love and laugh with them. No, I'm not one of those Karen people that puts up live, laugh, love. No, but this is just how I'm describing it. You really grow close to them all. They're certainly not PC. It's quite crude. There's a lot of crude humour in this. I can't even say some of the names and nicknames they have for one another, but let me just tell you, it is mwah. Oh my goodness, I was laughing so hard. I mean, some of these euphemisms are so inventive. It just boggles the mind. I can just imagine Dan sitting there and thinking all these euphemisms and having a laugh, a giggle of glee. It is fantastic. And so you have these larger in life characters that form this sort of roguish band, and essentially their goal is to take the Kingdom of France for the King Edward of England. And so we start off on, funnily enough, the beaches of Dunkirk. And we're kind of thrown into the dinky little ocean there, and they're wading through and they have to siege the nearest town. And it's an exciting start, and we're thrust right into the midst of the battle. And then things kind of go quite episodic. And what really impressed me is of course, Dan being a historian, I should have expected this, but there's so much reality to it, and Dan does not shy away from the grittiness of it. It is, pretty gruesome, pretty bloody, pretty disturbing at times. My goodness, I'm remembering having flashbacks to one particular moment. Oh my goodness, wow. Yeah. But you also get that reality of being on war. It's just kind of like a lot of marching, and so it's kind of like episodic adventures of them building up to basically taking the siege, the town, I think it's the town of Crécy in France. And then you don't just have the band, you have another sort of wider cast of larger in life characters with Sir Godefroy, the whiny little prince of England, and so many. Now, I will do a full dedicated review of this, but needless to say, this was a fantastic read, and it was number 7 on my list of the top 10 of 2022. So if you love your historical fiction, if you love your funny euphemisms, if you love your found family band of rogues coming together like a war band, this one will be for you. It has delicious prose. It's just a riot from start to end. Onwards to number 6. We have an SPFBO finalist, who I also need to do a dedicated review for. Or in fact, I already filmed it, and I just haven't edited it, and I literally filmed it like a month ago, or if not more. I'm so busy. Now, the suspense is over. It is the 13th Hour by Trudie Skies. This is book 1 in the Cruel Gods series. Excuse me, I'm just gonna read out some of my review that I did for Fantasy Book Critic blog. Shout out to Fantasy Book Critic. My hit over there, who kind of runs all that, is fantastic, and Fantasy Book Critic is just fantastic as a fantasy review website. I also review on there. Hint, hint. I can't wink. Anyway, this is the best way I can describe it. Y'all, Trudie Skies is hilarious. Her book, The 13th Hour, has such a whimsical, cheeky humour while still being darkly adult. And I love its quirky little soul. And yes, folks, there really is no other way to describe it. It is a quirky, whimsical little book. We have lots of many Britishisms. There's lots of tea, bourbon biscuits, and things like that. And it is very, very quintessentially British. And so if you love that kind of little quaint vibes, this will be right up your alley. But it's also really, really dark, and so you have this tension between the light-hearted side of it and the darkness of it. And viewers, it gets dark. I mean, I cried at some points in this, and part of that is due to the performance of RJ Bailey, who is a fantastic, fantastic audiobook narrator. Literally, just any book, RJ Bailey, get it. He is fantastic. On the one hand, you have this really whimsical, quirky, kind of fast-paced prose even. The prose kind of fits the atmosphere of this kind of anxious atmosphere. It's very, very, it's not quippy, but it's like whip fast. You know, it's almost reflecting the thoughts of the characters that it's going at a million miles an hour, and really giving that sense of that kind of quirky, whimsical, anxious vibes that the character gives off. And then on the other hand, you really have some dark stuff. I mean, when they say the cruel gods, they really are cruel. And this book surprised me in every best way possible. This one, I cannot shout about it enough. I won't go in too much into detail because I will have a dedicated review. But let's just say the duo of Quen and Kale, this will go down in fantasy history as one of my favourite duos, and hopefully one of the best duos. If other people agree with my thoughts on that. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I think it's really good to go into this not knowing much about it. Just go and enjoy and take it all in, and you shall thank me later. But I will have a dedicated review up very, very soon for the rest of you folks. I want to know a little bit more. But seriously, this has so many high points. This genuinely, in another year, this would have been higher on the list. But wow, yeah. And an SPFBO semi-final. No, not semi, an actual finalist. I mean, yes. So go check it out. Book 1 and 2 are both out. Needless to say, I will put all the books links down below. I didn't do that in the last video. I will have to edit that. Anyway, onwards to number 5, our last stop today before we get into the lower end. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm having fun. We're going to go with it. And by last, but by absolutely no means least, on our hype train today, we have Master Artificer by Justin T. Cool, number 2 in the Silent God series. Now, I've got a dedicated review for this, or for the series as a whole. I will link that up in the corner. Needless to say, this one was another one that blew me away. It is bigger, bolder, brusher, dare I say better than book number 1. If book number 1 was sort of quite self-contained in one location, this just simply explodes and also implodes, and there are so many different expansive directions it goes in. All the juicy little world building details that you were wondering about in book 1, they all come into play here, and we just learn so much more about this world, and it's bigger than I ever could have dared to dream of. Justin this is a masterclass in fantasy world building. I mean, seriously. And it makes sense, right? Because if you guys don't know, Justin put Master of Sorrows, his first book, as his, I think it was a master's even that he did. And that was his thesis. So, you know, Justin knows what he's doing when he's building this world. And it is honestly one of the most impressive fantasy series out there right now. Now, it won't be for everyone. I think lots of people love the kind of smaller scale but still epic feel of book 1, and book 2 kind of, it goes in so many myriad different directions that some people can get overwhelmed and lost in the world building, but for someone like myself, I loved it. There's even a lizard man. A lizard man! What more could you want except 2 lizard men? It is fantastic. All our characters go in so many different directions, and we follow Anev as she's kind of dealing with the climax of the finale. The climax of the finale as he's dealing with the climax of book 1, and he kind of has to go his own way. And if you don't know, this series, and it's not a spoiler to say, is all about the sort of the character you think is going to be the hero becoming the Dark Lord, and this book definitely turns Anev down a darker path. It's grittier, it's more thrilling in a way. I think throughout the book there's so much there, there's so much heart, and I need to go back and take it all in again, because wow, yes, Justin, I honestly believe this will be one of the best series in fantasy by the time it is complete. Too many people are missing out on this. Too many people. So seriously, check out my review for more. Check out Justin on Twitter and things and all that. I'll link it all down below. But seriously, you're missing out. At least give it a try. I really highly recommend this book. And sadly, that brings our time on the train to an end. The coal has run out. The hype shall return very soon for our final few books. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to split it yet, but I'd like to make maybe a dedicated video just for the top number 1. So we'll probably do 4, 3 and 2 and then do a dedicated video for 1. But thank you for sticking with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I love getting videos out to you all. I never actually know what's going to happen when I'm going to record it, so it's so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Thank you so much. Please remember, like, subscribe, comment. It all really helps. See you next time on Hobbit Hole Books.